At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Steven, so I was at dinner last night, and I was sitting outside, and this woman comes outside, and she starts talking about how amazing my hair is. And she was a little older, and she had 2 daughters. What do you think I did? I'll tell you when we start the show. Bye.
Steven, I'm just a mom magnet. Ooh. Mom magnet. So I'm sitting having dinner with some friends in a different place than I normally go. It's called Tuna Bar, right? It's another sushi place. It's not like Morimoto, but it was actually very good. They do more of the specialty rolls where they mix and match stuff, where Morimoto sticks to more traditional.
Nice.
So it's a little different. But I'm sitting there. I so happen to not have sleeves on. We're outside the restaurant.
So weird.
I didn't have sleeves. I left them in Seattle.
The funny thing is, in the summer, you have no sleeves, but then you wear jeans and you don't wear shorts.
So
it's like the opposite.
On that, but on that note, Steven, I had the option of putting on my khaki shorts this morning or jeans, and I picked up the khakis, and I'm like, I just don't feel good in my body in these. I guess that's what women say all the time, where they're like, I just don't think I feel good or look good in these. You know what? I feel much better in these jeans that hug my ass and everything, because I just feel like.
But you can get different shorts that do that.
No, but they look the G word, and I don't want to wear those. I don't. Not that that's a problem.
But a really tight purple sleeveless shirt, that doesn't.
Steven, have you seen these muscles? Have you? There's not a lot of people in general that have those, let alone people who don't have those. No, really, I feel much better in jeans. Even though no one else is here, it's a personal thing, Steven.
I just don't know how
for me.
How you don't sweat like crazy like me, because it's 95 degrees out and you're wearing jeans.
Yeah, but if I'm inside, it's fine. If I'm going to go, unless we're doing a lot of moving around. But if I'm going to the Phillies game, I'm wearing jeans at this point. And if when I went to the Union, the Messi thing the other day, I wore the shorts as well. Yeah. Because that was like hours upon hours upon hours. Can I get back to this mother, please?
Sure.
Yeah. So this lady comes out of the restaurant and she looks at me and she's like, "You are adorable. Your hair is amazing."
Did she get your cheeks? Oh, Jared.
No. She just had a. I don't remember what her intro was, but about that, she's like, "I love your hair." So it was actually 4 women, right? It was 2 mothers and 2 daughters.
Oh,
right. So she's talking to me, and I'm like, something came up. I'm like, "Have you been drinking?" She's like, "No." And then the other girls are like, "Yeah, she's had a bunch of these and Cosmos." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." And then the daughters keep getting further and further away because they're like, "Who's this pedophile?" That's not true. They were actually well of age, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And so the mother, she's just like, "I only had a few drinks," and the daughters are getting all like, "Come on, you're embarrassing us."
She sounds like the type of mom that you don't give drinks to because of that.
Yeah,
she's the embarrassing mom when you give her like 1 drink.
She keeps asking about my hair.
Mom, stop.
I'm like, she's like, you brush it out, don't you? You have curly. Oh, I was like, "Do you want to touch it?" I'm like, normally people ask, "Can they touch it?" And she's like, "Yeah, if you're going to offer." I'm like, "Kesha touched it. Kesha touched my hair, so you can totally do it." And then the other one's like, "Do people always ask?" I'm like, "Well, no, usually they're drunk and they don't ask, and I get pissed off if they try to touch my hair." But anyway, she's touching. She's like, you definitely brush it out. I know these things. I know hair." I'm like, "Do you want to see curls?" And she's like, "Well, not the." I'm like, "No, these." And I show her my curls, right? A photo. And she's like, "Wow." And then I'm like, She kept asking something. I'm like, "Any of those 2 single?" She's like, "Oh, they're taken, and the one's going to become a doctor." I'm like, "Are you Jewish by any chance?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Me too." I'm like, "You should tell her to find a new guy, because I'm the perfect fit. Just look at me." Daughter, she's like, "She's going to be a doctor." And I'm like, "That's right. I should have gotten up and been like, 'Hi. Who are you going out with?'" "Me. That's who."
"Where's your Leica?"
That's the story I got to tell you about the voicemail. So that's what happened. I mean, Jewish mothers. I was like, my mom would have liked you if she was alive, probably. And then
terrible.
Then the daughters finally got the mother to leave, but not before I got her mom's number. Oh, I was trying to get the daughter's number. I really did. I flat out asked. I was like, "So are she single?"
I believe you.
I said, "Which one of those two is single?" And they were far away because they were like embarrassed. There's no reason to be embarrassed. It's kind of cool, unless I don't know. Anyway, Stephen. There's a lot to talk about today, as we always have a lot to talk about in RAWtalk episode number 64, where the text line number is 313-710-9729, because I just wrote it down. I haven't gotten my old thing out on my desk yet.
We've gotten, by the way, a ton of texts over the past week.
A ton, yes. We'll talk about the texts shortly, because... Well, we got to. Okay, fine. I'll say it real fast. No, I'm not. I'm gonna skip that. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But there's a lot to talk about. The dates are getting closer for Steven. Something about B&H and gear. We've got FroPack 4 discussion, Sony rumors, Canon rumors. I photographed Messi, and that's really what we've got to talk about today. So the dates are getting closer. Steven is what's the update on you?
I mean, we're set for August 22nd. That's this Tuesday. That is 5 days away at this point. So
it's also Hitler's birthday.
When I told you that date, you told me that. I'm like, wait, what? Are you serious? No, it is not Hitler's birthday. Jesus.
Steven goes. The date is we're gonna schedule it for August 22nd, and I go Hitler's birthday. He's like, what?
The way you say it is so serious, though. You're like, Hitler's birthday?
Hitler's birthday is actually April 20th. We looked it up. I don't just know that.
But yeah, things have changed once again. She was initially feet down and breached, and we were scheduled for a C-section. Well, about 2 weeks later, she flipped on her own, and we were going to have a natural vaginal birth. But then we went back to the doctors this past week, and she is now transverse, which means she is sideways instead of fully breached. So she still has the potential to flip again and go head down, but it is so close to the due date, we have now rescheduled a C-section for this coming week. So we are days away at this point. We have one last appointment to confirm that she is still transverse and not fully flipped, but we don't expect her to flip again. She's pretty much doing gymnastics in my wife's belly right now.
You excited?
I am. I'm excited. I'm petrified. I'm all kinds of emotions right now. It doesn't help that, we're insanely busy at work, and everything else in my personal life is pretty crazy and chaotic right now. So,
yeah, your grass, right? How's your grass
that's number one priority, man.
And what's your grass going to do when you have a baby?
Whatever. I don't care. It's bottom of the list at this point.
Wow. Priorities.
But yeah, we're getting the house cleaned this weekend and everything in preparation for her coming.
You?
No, we're actually having people come over, some cleaners, to clean it for once. We've never hired cleaners before, so I'm curious how that's going to go.
I was trying to think of what to get you, right?
For something. Pay for the cleaners.
No, I was gonna. So the first thing that crossed my mind is that usually the parents are busy and they don't have time. I was gonna do one of those cleaning people for you, but then I'm like, Steven's fucking OCD. He's gonna clean his own place, and I wasn't even gonna do it.
Well, actually, Nicole's the one that booked them, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even have time to do any research. Just book them, call it a day, and we'll go from there. They'll be fine. They're good enough.
Okay, let's come back around to the podcast. So we've been insanely busy here at the studio working on a bunch of videos. We've got extra time going with Steven and Dan cranking out a bunch of different stuff. Organization has not happened. I actually told Dan that he's gonna you need him to come over and help me bring up like one or two of the shelves that I want to put behind me and start to organize, because it's starting to bother me now.
His arms might snap in half, man.
His arms might snap in half. Yeah, he's like a twig.
He really is. He is a skinny man.
He is. It's like, do you eat food?
Seriously, he's got to weigh, like, if I had to guess, 110 pounds.
110 pounds?
I truly think he's probably 110 pounds.
I could probably throw him through the door. I could probably pick him up and throw him through the door.
Yep.
Anyway, so when Steven goes out, probably a couple weeks of me figuring out, am I going to have special guests? Which I'm going to have special guests on. I might fly solo.
And honestly, I'm hoping I'm only going to be gone for a week. We'll see. We'll play it by ear, obviously, but I'm hoping I'll be back that second week, as long as everything's work? No, not to work, but on the podcast, I mean. So if she's born on Tuesday, for example, I'm obviously not going to record with you on Thursday, 2 days later. But the following week, I'm hoping to jump back on and get the podcast back up and running. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear. Who knows how long I'll be out. But that's why I really wanted to. Initially today, you were saying like you might just fly solo, and I'm like, yeah, but I really should try and be on because we got a lot going on, and I'm under the gun with a lot of projects right now. So I wanted to make sure a lot of that stuff was done. And yeah, so I really wanted to be a part of today's podcast, again, because I'm not going to be here next week and possibly the next week after.
What I want you guys to do is text us 313-710-9729 as who you'd like to see as a guest on the podcast. I've got a couple of ideas for people that I want to float around. I'll end up probably using Riverside to record both of us because they just made it really super easy, and that way it can record the audio and be good to go right off the bat.
It's great because it's pretty much uncompressed raw audio that you're getting in the background. So, and it syncs up pretty easily after the fact. So you can do all that without me and then just run it through Audition after.
And then get people texting, how bad my audio is. Jared, you suck. Bring Steven back.
Just don't file save as the raw audio. Give it some compression. Give it that effects rack.
It's what happens when I don't do this anymore. I just totally forgot.
All good.
Totally forgot. So speaking of forgetting, in case you forgot, Fuji and Leica don't like me and don't send me gear to review. And people are always like, why don't you do Leica? Why don't you do Fuji? And I've explained it a million times. So I finally got pissed off enough that I reached out to B&H because B&H has this thing where they let creators get loaners of product and you just ask them for it. And really all that they ask for in return is you just put a link back to their product and you say that you got it from them as a loaner. Brandon at Alan's Camera and Alan at Alan's Camera, when he was around, they used to do similar things. It was a lot different. They're not a mega superstore, so it's not as easy for them to say, send me $18,000 worth of Fuji equipment yesterday in a day.
$18,000?
A day after I asked for it. You know what I forgot to ask for? An extra battery. Well, I forgot an extra battery. Let me make a note. Of all the things, I'm like, I don't know how the battery life is on the Fuji GFX 100S, which is a $6,000 body. So I want to use the large format, medium format, whatever the hell they have, the larger than full frame to shoot things that people don't normally do, right? I want to try it in a sports situation.
What's the frame rate on that bad boy?
Well, I from a video I watched, it can do 14 or 16-bit RAW. And if you're doing 16-bit RAW, you can do 6 frames a second. And if you do the 14-bit RAW, you can do like 10 frames.
I'm surprised we haven't graduated, by the way, to 16-bit RAW in most of the consumer cameras at this point.
I think I was watching, and the camera was like 2 years old at this point. I think I was watching a DP Review TV review of it, which is very cursory because it just goes over like top level things. And they make the statement, they're like, 16-bit RAW is going to slow it down and the files are just going to be so big. Isn't that the point of buying a camera that is a medium format style camera, that you get the best quality out of it no matter what?
And massive
you trade
files.
You trade off speed for that massive
for resolution and quality. Yeah.
Right, that's the thing. It's like if you want to use a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you use a mirrorless camera and you don't worry about it. But if you're buying a $6,000 body for the fact that it has a larger sensor, then I think you might want to shoot it at 16-bit. I'm going to ask Richie, and I'm going to ask this National Geographic guy who has one, what he thinks I should be doing.
It's funny because I feel like a lot of the high-end, even flagship cameras these days are almost dumbing down the RAW file in favor of frame rate. They want that 30 frames per second and you get a 12-bit RAW file or something. Give me a 16-bit RAW file at this point and then cut the frame rate in half, or give me the option.
Or just keep it as fast as it can. Just make it faster.
Sure. Yeah, that too.
So how do you get to $18,000, you may be asking, Steven?
Yes.
You add 4 lenses that average in the $2,500 range.
Oh, man. What lenses did you get?
So I got the GF 80mm 1.7, which is like a 60-some equivalent.
Oh, yeah. So it would be like a 1.2 equivalent.
Yeah, so it's wider. You go the other way, then it's the opposite of the other.
Then APS-C, yeah.
Then, yeah. So I got the 80, the 110 f2, the 250 f4, which I want to try for the sports, and a 23 f4, which is ultra, which is like a much wider lens. I forgot to ask for a battery, and I don't know what the battery life is.
Aren't the Fujis, aren't they really not like true medium format? They're kind of in between like full frame and medium format sensors.
Yeah, it's
size-wise.
It's not but it's larger,
than full frame. I think the only issue with you, since you're so used to and love shooting completely wide open, I think you might want to stop down a little bit with this one. I'm curious how that'll affect your normal shooting.
Well, I'm going to play around. I'm going to photograph some kids in the park. That's easier to do. You know, I have a little bit more control
like,
over
for example,
that.
If you try and do like your headshot portrait where it's just like the head is the entire frame and you're at 1:2 and you're just focusing on the eyes and you got the blurry nose, I feel like you're barely...
1.7.
What was that?
It's a 1.7 lens. So if that gives me the 1.2 equivalent or whatever, I don't know what the equivalents are because I never shoot medium format.
Yeah, but like you were saying earlier, it's like a 63 millimeter equivalent on full frame, and then the aperture equivalent is going to be more like a 1.2. True medium format, that's probably more like a 50 f1 lens at that point. So it's even more shallower in terms of like the actual depth of field that you're getting. It's still truly a f1.7 lens in terms of exposure, but you're getting the look of the depth of field of like a f1.2.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
I just want to try it.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part is like, that's what I wanted Fuji to do. I do need to ask about battery life because, I'm just going to actually ask B&H to send me a couple of batteries because that's the one thing I neglected to do. They literally sent me what I asked for, and I didn't ask for a battery, so they didn't send me the extra battery.
You're
had a battery.
Really harping on that battery.
Well, what if the battery life is bad and I run out of batteries, Steven?
Is there no USB-C port of any? There's got to be some way to charge, I assume.
I don't know. I haven't taken it out of the box yet.
I just find it odd that Fuji, again, just completely skipped full frame and went bigger sensor and then smaller sensor and nothing in between. Why not?
I don't know. We'll see how this thing works. We'll see how the quality is. I know some people really love it and they love the files, and that's why I just want to use it in a different situation. I also asked them for a Leica Q3, but they said that one is back ordered. So I won't be getting the Leica Q3 at this point.
They sold all 6 models that they got in.
Yes, to the 6 to that Jewish
6
mother,
doctors and lawyers, and
to
drunk
that mother
Jewish
who
moms.
bought one for her daughter. I hope she's listening, Mother. If you're listening right now, I did try to hit on your daughter through you. I did. I was like, "Are you Jewish by any chance?"
Is that a prerequisite for you?
Not at all. I'm like, my mother would have been very happy, which my mother wouldn't have cared if the girl was Jewish or not Jewish. And I think her daughter was kind of cute. I think she was wearing pink. And she was over there at a distance, and I didn't have glasses on, so I don't really know.
So you have no idea what she looked like?
I mean, I could see shapes. Stephen. I could see sizes, and that's about it. And the mother wasn't bad, I guess. So
there you go.
What can you do? Maybe you're saying there's a chance. Speaking of B&H, and this was not planned this way, but I am speaking September 6th at their Build Expo in New York City at the Jacob Javits Center. It is free to go to it. I don't know the link off the top of my head, so just go to B&H's website and click on the Build Expo to register for free. I'm speaking at 4:30?
I believe you're 4:30, and also keep in mind that's BILD, not BUILD Expo.
Yes, because build is a Yiddish term for something.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
That's what they said. And I'm like, I'm not putting that in a plug. I don't think people care that build is the Yiddish word for something.
Yeah, nobody cares.
So half the things I talk about.
They're celebrating 50 years, right?
They're celebrating 50 years of something.
Wow.
Being in business.
So this sounds familiar, same time of year at the Javits Center, like some other expo. Are they going to do this annually, you think? Or will this be a one-off to celebrate just the 50th? Because it is a lot, I'm sure, expense-wise for them to put this on, unless all of the vendors are paying for it pretty much.
If I had to guess, Steven, this is B&H calls and like, hello? This is Fred Smith. Fred Smith from B&H. And
All-American Fred Smith.
Hi, I'm Fred Smith. Well, no, Fred Smith and that woman that's always in those commercials, Steph Landis or whatever her name, Steph Mantis. It's Steph Mantis.
That's it. Yeah.
Those are the two people. I wonder. I should have asked if Fred's going to be there because Fred should be there on his Peloton, being like, "I'm Fred." Whatever. I already forgot his name. Fred Smith. Oh shit. It's very generic. Thank you. Good job, guys.
Not a fake name at all.
Fred Smith.
Can't be John Smith. How about Fred Smith?
Steph Mantis. Shit. What's her name again? Steph.
I think it's Steph Mantis. Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, so basically the way this, that if I had to guess, B&H is like, yeah, so we're going to put on this event and all of you vendors, must go and pay us if you want to have your stuff shown at our store.
Yeah, or we're going to stop selling everything.
Or you Nikon people won't be here. So you better get your budgets ready to spend a bunch of money to go show here on the 6th and the 7th. I was just informed, Stephen, that I will be on a panel about something.
Oh, man, I wish I was there.
Yeah, but I'm told this is like an industry panel. So it's for like brands. Oh, fuck. You know what I'm going to talk about during this?
So you're saying that's not open to the public?
I don't know if this is. Oh, I just realized what I'm going to talk about. If I'm talking directly to brands about marketing and online stuff, man, I'm going to give them a masterclass.
You should pay YouTubers and stop doing these expos.
No, what I'm going to tell them, Stephen, is how to spot someone who is cheating at growing their following on YouTube and social media. I'm going to make a statement and a point to them that, look, if you've got somebody coming to you that all of a sudden shoots up to 1.65 million subscribers, and it kind of stops growing at the same exact time, that they might be cheating. And their latest videos get 6,000 views, they might be cheating. So maybe don't spend your budget on the non-reputable people that just blow up out of nowhere because you think it has some possible effects. Now, what you can do is you can work an affiliate deal in there where you don't spend any money up front. And you're like, look, if you're so big and you're so great at what you do, then take the affiliate deal and you'll get paid a lot more money because there's no cap on what you can make. I just want to make it abundantly clear to these people that they need to do their research and not just look at vanity numbers.
And I would say subscriber count doesn't matter and look at view count, but you can also cheat the view count. So that's the hard part. Just look at the comment section, the engagement. That's what matters. That's where you can really tell who's listening and who's paying attention and how large your audience is.
And you know what you need to ask for from these people? You need to ask for their YouTube analytics. Mm-hmm. You need to ask specifically for where are the views coming from, because it tells you in the back end of YouTube on their channel, in their analytics, where the views come from. And if they're all coming from some third world country, it might be a problem and they're not the viewers that you want. So you just don't want to get cheated by someone growing out of nowhere. I'm going to go in here to my audience analytics. What I got to go to advanced? No, do I go to advanced? Geography, gender, date, geography, right?
Of United where people States, are coming from, yeah.
United Kingdom, and yeah, so we're like 36% in the last 28 days. 36.8% comes from the United States. And then behind that is United Kingdom with 7.2%, India, Canada, Germany, Australia, Netherlands, and it starts to drop to 1% and below. Let me go down to the bottom. We've got Kenya.
Oh.
We had 2,496 views from Kenya. So there's analytics that you can look for as a person who's going to spend money in marketing, and I'm going to give them I didn't realize that until just now, Stephen, that's what I'm going to be talking about.
There you go. And what stage are you talking on at 4:30 and what day and all of that? Details?
The big one? I don't know. The big stage?
Well, I looked at the Build Expo website and there's like 50 or 60 speakers.
There are, but I'm going to be on the big stage, the one that Casey Neistat will be on the next day.
Okay. Who's Casey Neistat?
Some guy.
Oh, okay.
Who used to make
Does he
vlogs.
Cheat his YouTube numbers?
No, he didn't cheat his YouTube numbers at all. That's called legitimate building of a YouTube channel.
So do you think Joby got him to speak? Because he's now like a Joby brand ambassador?
Wait, he's got a sponsor lined up. There's a sponsor next to him for it.
It's probably Joby, if I had to guess.
Well, let me
He's got a big giant Joby like wall banner at B&H.
I actually don't think it is Joby this time.
Do you know how many Joby accessories he would have sold back in the day when he was doing his vlog and exclusively like using that? The Gorilla Pod?
Yeah, well, it says Joby Ambassador, so I'm assuming Joby is paying for that one for him.
Yeah.
And then Mark Seliger is speaking. Anya Auntie. I'm just looking at photos of women and some men, like Gabrielle Bitterman.
And just to be clear, you're only going to be there on the 6th, speaking at 4:30 on the main stage?
I am getting a room, so I will stay up, and I might go in on the 7th in the morning.
Because I did see a couple people text in asking if you were going to be there on Thursday as well on the 7th. Well, when's your panel? Is that on the 6th as well?
Yeah, everything's on the same day. So they have me like doing a panel, and then I'm gonna go speak in the main room as well.
Oh, your boy Jerry Gionis is speaking. Love that guy.
Yeah, I love Jerry Gionis. He kicks ass. So my what I'm going to talk about, I'm probably just going to mine. They asked me for a title for my thing. What do you see? What it is?
Hold on, I'm scrolling down. You're all the way like at the bottom.
That's because I was one of the late editions.
Jared Frono's Photo Polin. His name might be Jared Polin, but you probably know him better as Frono's Photo. Jared has been creating fun and informative content to help photographers of all skill levels since day one of his career. He launched his website and YouTube channel on June 1st of 2010. Never heard that before. And continues to be one of the most influential photo creators in the world. The presentation is called Fro Uncensored.
So, it's bullshit. I'm pretty sure I wrote what to put there, and I write it in first person. I don't write it the way that they took it. So they basically took what I wrote and changed it. No, my name is Jared. Come see me speak.
Yeah, but this isn't your website. I get it. I see why they put it in third person.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, Fro Uncensored. They came up with some stupid title, and I was like, no.
No, I like Fro Uncensored. Because you never
just
love him or hate him, you never know what he's gonna say.
I just left it open ended because I didn't really know what I was going to talk about yet. I think I'm just going to go into photo stories, and what I've learned is just showing the best of the best images over time and talking about getting access and doing that. That's the biggest thing. You could talk all day, but this is photography. I need to show the images. You need to prove to people like I'm not just a guy on the internet who makes YouTube videos and cheats his way to 1 million subscribers.
Actually, you're speaking at 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Wednesday, September 6th, not 4:30.
So literally, they have me going from one stage to the other. Let's see. Yeah, they have me going from 2 to 3, and then Jared's on the main stage at 4 to 5. Which gives me enough time to get my chicken noodle soup. Oh, so they're doing like...
I knew you were thinking about food. Like, well, when am I going to eat? That's the most important thing. Don't care about speaking.
No, I already asked them about food. They're going to have kosher food. Not that I care if it's kosher or not, but that also means that it won't have pork, and I'll probably like it. They're going to have matzo ball soup at the show. So I'm going to eat some matzo ball soup. So anyway, if you want to go to this, you go to the website for B&H, and it's free. It's on the 6th and the 7th. I'll be speaking on the 6th. So it's very similar to what those expos used to be, if I had to guess, because it's in the same place as those other expos, and they haven't had one of those in a while. No, you have to pay to listen to speakers go, which was kind of stupid. Why are you going to pay to listen to speakers when you can just listen to podcasts at this point?
Well, that's what I mean. Like this one, you don't have to pay for anything. It's just free altogether, right?
Yeah, and you get to listen to all the different speakers, and there's some speakers that probably don't belong there, and that's just the nature of the beast. I don't know how they
bring that up.
I just don't know how they get talk people into having them speak, but we'll see how mine goes. We'll see if I have a big turnout, don't have a big turnout.
There's a lot of like Canon Explorers of Light. There's Nikon ambassadors too. There's Sigma ambassadors. It's all the brand ambassadors for the most part. So I'm sure the brands were like, hey, you have to come and speak.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't spoken in front of a big group in a while, and it should be fun.
And you're good at it. You are.
Yeah, and we'll open it up to Q&A because that is the real deal. So if you guys are there and you want to ask some good questions, ask me some good questions about how to cheat your way to 1 million subscribers.
So what do you do if you're like, all right, any questions? And nobody raises their hand.
I usually yell at people and say, are you fucking kidding me? You have me standing in front of you and you don't have any questions?
Do you know who I am?
That usually works. Here's my million plaque.
This would be a $10,000 question normally.
That's what I charge. Screw you. I'm going home. Drops the microphone. No, I just want to put up a good presentation where I'm going to go through some of my old stuff, some of my favorite images. And that's what I want to go through. Like talk about access and just show it. Like I'm going to show the Bernie stuff. I'm going to show some of the Phillies World Series stuff. I'm going to show like the Messi thing because that's topical right now.
The best of the best with honors, sir.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about building the photo store and getting access. That's really what I want to go into. So moving on to FroPack 4.
Yes,
we slowly seeded out that the page wasn't done when I sent the text message to the list, right? And if you're not on the list, it's 313-710-9729. They were the first people to get a direct link to the FroPack 4 page.
Exclusive.
A couple of weeks ago. Exclusive. I said, that's where you're supposed to go. That's a few weeks ago. I told you it would be fronosphoto.com/FroPack4. And the page is now fully up. I haven't fully launched it yet, but we seeded it out to everybody on this text line first. I did some stuff on Instagram where I was like, this is from FroPack 4. And as the page...
You're like, all right, I'll just send it out to the text people first. I'm like, well, the video's not done. It's still not like finalized. The page, there's still some FAQ things I got to add. And you send it out to the text line. And I'm like, all right, just don't send it out to everybody else. Next morning, you're sending out to Facebook, Instagram, everywhere else.
Facebook? No, I didn't do that. I did it in the description. Too. It's in the it's underneath a photo, just saying that this photo was edited with Kaleidoscope from FroPack 4, and I put the link. It's not a big deal. We don't get that much traffic from that stuff.
Oh, I know. It's just funny. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to put it anywhere else. Hours later.
It's totally fine to slow play it, and then we'll be launching it fully.
I just don't like sending it to people without the final promo video.
Yeah.
Because there's more photos shown in that promo video in terms of like befores and afters and what the presets really offer.
But we also know that people aren't buying them right now based off of that. That's more for the people that are discovering us or finding the presets for the first time.
Sure.
And I know it's the first time they're seeing FroPack 4.
Exactly.
But people that own 1, 2, and 3. Speaking of people that own 1, 2, and 3, there were a bunch of testimonials that came in. You guys can go to the website and frontnosphoto.com/FroPack4, and you can buy them right now if you have been waiting. And you probably don't need these testimonials to make you buy them, but here's some. Just wanted to say the presets you guys made are easily the best out. I have a few others from other photographers, and they're meh compared to what you guys put out. I didn't make that up. That's a real comment.
That's great.
That came from the text line.
There's a lot of comments like that actually, that came from the text line.
That came from Instagram because I hearted it. So that came from Instagram. Another one this one's from the text line. This is probably my favorite preset pack y'all have done. Don't get me wrong. They've all been great, but this one just hits a little different. Holy forking fork balls, guys. FroPack 4, I couldn't even make that up if I tried. FroPack 4 is fucking bananas. Why couldn't you say fucking when you said forking? The adaptive presets are so good. Thank you, Stephen, for putting those together. And thank you, Jared, for the always clever names. I forking love you guys for this. Eric in Dallas. Talk about adaptive presets, because that's something fully new in this one.
Yeah, so the adaptive presets, they basically auto mask your subject and will apply certain effects onto your subject automatically. So for example, if you're taking a portrait and you want to, smooth out the skin, brighten the eyes, make the lips a little crispier and sharpen them and sharpen the hair maybe a little bit, this will automatically do all of that for you. It's literally one click and it will enhance the face 100%. And the beautiful thing about that is you can then go and use the overall slider in the top left-hand corner and adjust even more or less of that preset effect. So if you want more of a smooth face, or if you want less of it, or you can go in there and individually tweak each mask in the top right corner where the mask settings are, and you can say, I don't want to smooth the skin out at all. I want to take this part out. I want to add this. The great thing about it is you can add this adaptive preset onto another preset. So if you like using Skittles and it's always been very harsh on the skin, you can then go and click adaptive preset, face enhance, and it will beautify the face for the most part. And I added a full body one if you're taking full body portraits, so it's not just the face looking all pretty and then all of a sudden your skin's super rough in terms of your arms and legs or whatever. And there's also background blur too. That's a second adaptive preset that will, just like the preset says, it'll blur the background, and you can add more or less of that. That's more for like those APS-C shooters or something like that might have a lower end camera but want that professional look. You might have to go in with that one and kind of mask out certain things and make it a little better and more accurate. But for the most part, from my tests, it's been pretty accurate.
The one that I actually had Steven make me a special one that he included with the adaptive presets, and that was just eyes. So the iris and the scala, whatever the hell they call the whites of the eyes. Because I'm just like, Steven, I don't want to turn off the face, the teeth, the hair, the mustache, the beard every single time. So I had him put together the one that just does the eyes, because when I'm doing portraits, like for a bunch of portraits I've been doing in the park, these little girls' eyes pop. And so I hit the button, and then I just go in there and I tweak those two things. Where what I used to have to do is I would get out the dodge tool or the whatever. I would highlight just the eyes.
Do it manually. Yeah,
and it was terrible. And so the fact that you built these in there, it's kind of amazing how good they work.
And what I really like about what Lightroom did too is if you have multiple images of the same person or subject, but say they're moving throughout the frame or you have different composition or whatever, back in the day when you would sync your masks, it would literally
eyes would be in the wrong place.
Exactly. It would sync the mask in the wrong spot. Now, using the AI, I guess, in Lightroom, it literally will readjust the masks and refine where the eyes, the face, all of that is. So you can set how you want your adaptive preset to be, and then sync it across the board, and it will automatically sync it perfectly and adjust it for each different composition. It really is amazing what Adobe did with these AI features, I guess, if you want to call it that. But in terms of the actual settings and effects and adjustments, I did all of that. It's just Lightroom doing the auto masking for you. Where before it was painstaking to go in there and be like, let me manually select the eyes, then the face, then the lips, then the hair, then the facial hair, whatever.
It is a big time saver, and I find myself more and more, well, you know how anti-preset I was, and then I was like, oh shit, Skittles is really good, and then I tweak it to my own taste. I rarely go in and edit my own.
And it took you a long time just to get on board with Skittles. I mean, it probably wasn't until, I don't know, at the end of the release cycle for FroPack 1 that you really started using Skittles and promoting that.
Yeah, because I would go in and tweak the file myself, and then I realized... then I would,
point.
Well, yeah, I would tweak my own, and then I would hit the preset, and then I'd be like, Jesus Christ, this pops so much more than mine. Oh, look what it's doing to the highlights, and look what it's doing to the colors. And I'm like, this is just better than what I'm capable of doing myself.
And the beautiful thing is you can quickly scroll through and hover and see the previews for each preset. So, there's definitely times where you're going to be hovering over and being like, I didn't even think I could make the image look like this, but it actually looks way better with this specific preset. It just gives you more creative looks and options that you might not have thought of.
I actually like it for going black and white also. So I do a lot of black and white, and I will start with Skittles in color, and then I convert that to black and white and tweak from there because I kind of like what it does. And I've been doing that with Kaleidoscope. I've done it with Thick as well. And the set of portraits that I haven't shared, I've been holding off on posting portraits on Instagram that I've taken because I wanted to wait till FroPack 4 was out.
Sure.
But I used Copper Tone for the one girl.
That's my personal favorite.
And Saltwater Taffy looked really good out in the park the other day.
I'm shocked you like Saltwater Taffy because that is a very muted, lifted blacks and shadows, and there's actually grain added to that one as well. Now, there's a no grain option variant, though, too.
I do the non-grain, Stephen.
But it's a very filmic look, for sure, and I'm surprised you like that. Now, C41 is truly the filmic look I was going for, and I really dig that preset.
You mean you don't shoot film, Stephen? C41. Anyway, so that's FroPack 4. You want to pick up FroPack 4, you can go to fronosphoto.com/FroPack4. If you haven't picked up the entire bundle yet, we do have a Grand Slam bundle that includes FroPack 1, 2, 3, and 4 for $120. It's $30 more than what the triple play option was because we didn't want anybody to feel like they have been purchasing all along. Every time a new one comes out, they spend the $30. We didn't want to either raise it or drop it so that it felt like they had to spend more money. We just felt that we feel that ours are priced in a very accessible place compared to some other people that might be selling them for $75 for like 5 presets or more.
I think ours might be like the cheapest around, man. Seriously, $30. I mean, I really don't think anyone really offers them.
We're probably leaving a lot of money on the table because we don't want to not alienate people, but don't want to be greedy and just keep it close and
affordable,
and accessible and affordable to the masses. You make more money if you don't do that. Like F-Stoppers has always sold their products at $399 or $299 or whatever they sell their products for, and they make the same amount whether they sell at $299 or $99. They just then have less people to sell to in the future who already bought it. For something like this, I think it's better to have more people get it because it actually helps them with their photography. It actually helps speed up their raw workflow. And the consensus that we get a lot is that our presets actually work, whereas a lot of other people's presets they find don't work on multiple images. We've talked about that a million times, that Steven tests across thousands of our RAW files.
Well, and I've always said that Lightroom can be very intimidating to the new photographer, even to the seasoned photographer. And I think these really kind of open up the creativity that Lightroom can offer, because a lot of this is done through calibration, the color grading, which used to be called split toning tab. I think a lot of people don't realize how you can get certain colors and certain looks and certain tone curves, for example. And that's what these presets offer. And they can open up the hood and see how we made them and try and make their own from there, or refine the preset and save over it. And that's the beauty about these. If you don't like grain, if you don't like this certain color or that shade or that hue, you can adjust it yourself and make your own custom preset and go from there. So there's endless possibilities is what I'm trying to say.
So the last thing I will tell people is, if you do purchase any of our presets, can you just email yourself the zip file? just email it. Once you download it, email it to yourself. Yeah. Because I get and I get a lot of messages from people like, I switched computers and I went back to find the link and it's gone.
Do they only have a certain time to download it, like 10 days or something like that?
I don't know how it works. I think they just click and download it and then it maybe deactivates. I really don't know how it works because I don't set it like I used to set it. But when you get the zip file, send an email to yourself that says Fro presets, email it, and you should always have access to it to download. It's not a big, heavy file. It's a really small, 500 KB file or something because of how they're made. So yeah, just email it to yourself so you don't have to, in like a year or two, send me a message and be like, I don't know where they are.
And one last thing about FroPack 4 too, I find it very interesting that people are texting in the early adopters that have bought the packs, and they're telling me, hey, I love this preset specifically. I love DeLorean. I love Coppertone. I love Brooklyn. It's so interesting to see how subjective presets are and how subjective people are with how they want an image to look, Yep. Some people like the really vibrant kaleidoscope and thick look, and then some people like the more muted and hipster modern day editing look like Coppertone and Brooklyn. So I think there's something in there for everybody. That's what I usually strive for when I make these new packs. I try to hit hard on everything. I think this is the only pack that I haven't included like a true black and white preset though, because in my opinion, there's only so many black and white presets you can make before you kind of just do the same thing over and over.
DeLorean actually looks pretty damn good on that.
That's like a metallic preset. I don't consider that really black and white.
Sure. All right, you ready to move on? .org?
Let's move on.
Let's go to that Canon rumor. You want to go into the information about the RF mount, because that's the biggest issue that Canon has facing them right now?
Yeah, so Canon Rumors just posted this last night. It says Canon executives address the third-party RF mount lens future, talking about how they will now be licensing the RF mount for certain third-party lenses. But the issue is that they will basically pick and choose which third-party lenses they will be accepting. It's not like, hey, you just have to pay a licensing fee and you're good to go and you can make a third-party lens for the RF mount. It seems like Canon will be like, hey, we're making a similar model, so we're going to say no to your licensing application and we're going to make it instead, and we're going to only give you the shitty options. I could be totally wrong, but that's kind of how this article reads.
I mean, you would think that it's good to get people in the ecosystem. Some people are going to buy the Sigma, and then some people are going to also buy a Canon or buy a Tamron, but they should be making money no matter what if you keep people happy.
Agreed. Now, to be specific, here's the Google translated paragraph from the original.
Steven, I want the non-translated in the native tongue. Have Google read it.
From the original interview, this is what it says. I can't reveal my specific R&D plans for the future. In addition, although it is still limited to some special companies, Canon has also opened the RF mount to third-party lens manufacturers through licensing. Now, if we receive a request from a third-party lens company to open the mount, we will study whether to license it based on Canon's own business plan and strategy. In fact, we are now communicating with several third-party lens companies in this regard. But that's the big line right there. We will study whether to license it based on Canon's own business plan and strategy. So that tells me they're going to pick and choose and basically say, hey, we have third-party lens options now, but we've got all the good ones, though, on our side. So you still want to stick with Canon RF and pay us.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, I hope they just open it. I don't own Canon, so I don't have a business that involves worrying about that. So I don't know how much business this takes away. They might know the numbers that, they're fine with some people choosing not to buy Canon because they don't have third party, because they'll be perfectly fine, or they'll figure out that it's a benefit. So there was another Canon rumor. Do you have that one up as well?
The other one, they're saying 3 new stacked sensors coming from Canon, and that is a CR2 rumor from Canon Rumors. They're saying they have been told that Canon will be announcing 3 new camera bodies, all with different resolution stacked image sensors. They say, we assume this would be the Canon EOS R1 and Canon EOS R5 Mark II, but the third one is unknown at this time, and a lot of people were hinting that it's probably the R5C Mark II.
Which doesn't count. It's literally the same sensor.
It is.
Yeah, what if they R6'd it, though? What if they R6'd it and R5'd it and R1'd it, all with stacked sensors?
I highly doubt they're putting out an R6 Mark III this soon. I mean, it's only been, what, a year?
No, they're not going to do that yet. But what if that's something that they end up doing?
I mean, it seems like Nikon's pushing that route. You know, they did that with the Nikon Z8. Are they going to do that with the Nikon Z6 Mark III?
Do you know what's interesting? Is Nikon just recycling sensors as long as they can so they don't have to develop anything because they can milk as much juice out of the same thing and do a disservice,
Sony
possibly?
Kind of does the same thing. I mean, they usually go 2 generations with the same sensor, like the Sony A7R2 and 3 were the same sensor, A7R4 and 5 were the same sensor. They usually wait 2 generations. So
Nikon's beyond that at this point. Really, in my opinion, when it comes to like the Z6 and the Z7.
But I think that's such a sweet spot, though, like 45 megapixels with the Z8, you know, it's stacked. I don't know. A lot of people still say it's not the same resolution and quality you get from the Z7 sensor because it's non-stacked, but who knows?
Do you know what gets me, Steven? We put up that video, the 14 millimeter 1.4 Sigma, which kind of did like better than most of our other videos.
Way
which is
better
so
than we thought,
odd.
Yeah. Such a niche lens.
Someone's like, just because you don't care about it doesn't mean that others do.
That's what I always tell you.
Yeah.
Always.
I was talking about cat's eye and background bokeh and the shape of it. And I just commented back. I'm like, look, I'm telling you that I don't care about what that looks like myself. I'm doing reviews, but I'm also sharing my personal opinion on this. I'm bringing this up. I don't care what the background bokeh looks like because no one is ever looking at my pictures going, oh, the background bokeh looks like it has a cat's eye in it. No one ever. It only matters that you got the shot.
I'm more talking about you wanted to not talk about astrophotography like at all during that review, and the whole point of that lens, in my opinion, is being like an astro lens. The whole marketing around that lens is about being an astro lens, and I wanted you to at least mention it can be used for astro, it should be used for astro, that kind of stuff. And you wanted to talk about photojournalism, which I think it's very, very odd that people would be using it for that.
I like using things that are not the way they're supposed to be used, like the Fuji camera that I borrowed to go shoot something other than portraits.
And that's totally fine. I just think you still need to at least mention and acknowledge that. I know, but there's times where I have to like force you to do that.
Well, do you know what I also liked in the comment section? That people have to be an asshole when they comment. They're like, clearly you're uneducated on the use of the lens, where for people that weight is actually a factor for those who are hiking. And I commented back, I'm like, don't you think you could leave a comment in a different way? Like, Jared, maybe you as a photojournalist who doesn't hike up a mountain, maybe you just don't, because you've never done this, know that, yes, the weight of the lens can have an issue if you have to backpack 6 fucking miles instead of just being a dick straight off the bat.
I think they feed off your energy, and I think you're very blunt and to the point, and they tend to do the same thing right back. I think that's where they get it from.
There's ways to comment and there's ways not to, and we always talk about it with critiques.
I agree. I mean, constructive criticism should be said a certain way, for sure, politely, in my opinion.
Yes.
Back to this 3 stacked sensors. I mean, do you think they're going to give the R5 Mark II a stacked sensor? They're now competing with something like the Z8, which does have a stacked sensor for the same price. I'd be kind of surprised, but then again, Canon kind of blew us away with the R6, R5 and gave those cameras everything, and now they have more competition again. Are they going to do the same thing for the R5 Mark II? And it's getting long in the tooth, so they're going to have to give it a lot more than what they gave with the R6 Mark II, which is kind of like a small incremental update, which mainly just new sensor.
Sony doesn't have a stacked sensor in anything like that, right? They have the
A9 Mark
but that's
II.
Dead.
It is, but that's also in that same price range of, $4,000.
No, it was like $4,300, that camera. It's an expensive camera, so it's still $400 or so more than what an R5 is. Look, the R5 is fantastic at 12 frames a second and 20 frames electronics still. But yeah, would they add a stacked sensor? I think it comes down to money. And what can it do? Like, is it going to pilfer the R5? The R3? It's like,
that's my question. Like, imagine if you had an R5 right now, pretty much the same specs, but with a stacked sensor. What are they going to give the R1?
Yeah, that's the big question.
How are they going to really differentiate it now? Unless they gave it absolutely everything and made it a $7,000 body, but then it's just getting a little crazy.
Yeah, but $7,000 body matches what an A1 came out at.
6,500, but yeah, I guess so. I guess when you had the grip on, it's about $7,000.
Yeah, that was expensive. So I don't know. We're not going to go into the R1 now because we don't know anything. But what I think is going to happen with the R1, I think they're going to announce the R1 as a development announcement, which I would hope that they do, because we all know they already said they're working on it.
They definitely will.
Yeah, they'll do a development announcement, which maybe means we can get one in the hands. And then they're going to say that you can't say anything other than it's developing and you have it, but you can't talk about specs of the sensor. You can't talk about the screens. You can't talk about frames per second. You can't talk about anything, but at least we'll be able to get it.
Did we get the R5, R6 super early like that, where we couldn't say anything, but we knew everything?
No, what they were seeding out the R3? No, which one? I don't recall which one they did at this point. It's been a while.
I mean, we obviously got the cameras early, but I don't remember getting them that early.
I think it's been a long time since we've gotten super duper early. I don't think we've ever had super duper early access to something. I mean, I'm hoping that they are like, Jared, we want to, come shoot an R1 here. And I'll be like, holy shit.
Nikon's been giving us pretty early access to cameras, though. Usually we're like, what, a month and a half? That's pretty early.
Well, the lenses, yeah. Like some of those where they're like, we're only showing these to two people.
Like the Z9, I feel like we had that pretty early.
We were one of the only people to get access to that early.
Yeah. Where other camera companies will give us like 2-3 weeks beforehand, if that.
Anything's appreciated. So that's what Canon Rumors has for their rumors, and Sony Rumors has been posting a bunch of stuff from Andrea, is sharing information about what they think are what they think's next from Sony. You got those rumors right off the website?
Yeah, they're saying Sony's planning to announce it on August 29th, and their source said that the A7C II has the same 33 megapixel sensor of the A7 IV, the Bion's XR processor, the AI processor from the A7R5, which the A7 IV does not have, so that's interesting. 5 stops of IBIS, which I believe the A7 IV has, 10 frames per second, same as A7 IV, 100 to 51,200 ISO, 10-bit 4K 60p, S-Cinetone, S-Log3, all that, 2.36 million EVF, 3-inch articulating screen. Literally all of this is the A7 IV, by the way. 759 AF points, lens breathing compensation, 1 slot only. So far, that's the only thing that's different from the A7 IV versus the A7C II. I find that very interesting. I'm curious what the price is going to be, because right now this sounds like an A7 IV, but better. Because again, it has that AI processor from the A7R5, if this rumor is true.
It kind of makes sense, but then you're like, isn't the A7 IV not that old? Wouldn't you be a little pissed off if they put because I always said that A7 IV's autofocus was super laggy and super weird, and now they're going to fix that potentially and throw it into a smaller camera?
So the A7 IV is almost 2 years old. It will be 2 years old at the end of October, but that's still a fairly new camera. I don't know if I'd be pissed if this came in at a fairly affordable price, under the A7 IV, not even 2 years later, and it's better than the A7 IV.
We'll see what happens.
He also brought up pricing too. I don't know if this is correct. It doesn't sound correct in my opinion. He is saying that in euros, it's $26.99, which is almost $3,000 US. That can't be right. I mean, again, on spec, on paper, it's better than the A7 IV, but the A7C models have always been like the entry-level full-frame camera. So I assume there's some kind of translation error there. But yeah, $26.99 is what they're saying for this camera. Euro, not US dollars, which would be $3,000 roughly. And then the other rumor is for the A7CR, which is a brand new camera. They've never had this one before. I guess they're doing an A7C version of the A7R5. It seems like they're making a whole line of these cameras.
Could they come out with more names to confuse everybody?
It's so confusing.
It's like R8, Z8, A7RC2. like, oh shit, I combined everything.
So they're saying this will be the same body as the A7C2, the 61 megapixel sensor of the A7R5, which we've always said is a remarkable, fabulous sensor in terms of quality, 3-inch fully articulating LCD screen. Now I'm curious, will this get that same like 4-axis tilting and vari-angle screen that the A7R5 has? Because that is such a unique screen, in my opinion. I think that's the best screen on the market because you have the best of both worlds between tilting and vari-angle flip out. I'd be surprised if they gave them that, because then basically it's the A7R5, you know, in a small body, more affordable.
What's interesting is Nikon goes and make retro-looking cameras that may be smaller, like the ZFC, and then Sony just makes a smaller camera and throws full-frame sensors in it, and you're like, I don't care what it looks like as long as it functions and works. But if they have 2 models coming, you know, I get the A7C II, because that's replacing the A7C, which seemed to be super popular because it did all the video and it did everything that the A7 III did, actually slightly better when it came out, except for 2 card slots.
But that camera, the issue with that one, it was such a Frankenstein camera. I remember the menu was so super slow. It was the old menu from the A7 III. They went backwards. After announcing the new menu, they then put out this camera, the A7C, with the old menu and old features. So that one was really long in the tooth, even when it got like released, where this one seems like it's getting all the bells and whistles of the latest tech that Sony offers into a small, affordable body. So I'm really curious. I mean, if that's the case, they're going to knock it out of the park and probably sell 1 million of these.
I just find it fascinating that you know, if you shrink the body and you put in the best sensor that you can in the damn thing, how are you not cutting off the sales of the other stuff? Exactly. Right? Like, how do you have cameras that are basically the same, just different form factors and minor potential differences? And you're like, how does a consumer decide?
I mean, will these be the same price? You know, will they just offer 2 separate models, one with the A7R5 sensor and one with the A7 IV sensor? There's no way it could be the same price because, again, one's a much better sensor from a $4,000 body and one's from a $2,500 body.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Do they have any potential dates on release for these?
Again, like I said in the beginning, August 29th is what they're rumoring right now. So that's what, not even 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, you won't be here, I'm sure.
Great. And just to finish the rumors for the A7CR, they're also saying, again, that's a 1 card slot camera. So it seems like right now, the only thing holding these cameras back from their bigger brothers are the 1 card slot, which I think not many people care about. But if I could save $2,000 and buy this camera with only 1 card slot, why not? You know, and at least I have the option if I want 2 card slots to upgrade to the more expensive bigger brother.
Got it.
And on top of that, price wise, they're rumoring it to be €35.99 for the A7CR, which is about $4,000 US. I can't be right. Why would it be the same price as the A7R5?
Unless they're doing something weird.
Unless there's brand new tech that's going to make it better. But again, the A7C line has always been the more affordable entry line for the full frame cameras. So we'll see. We'll see.
I guess we'll have to see if Sony Alpha Rumors threw enough shit against the wall and what's right and what isn't.
Yep.
If it's all real. So let's move on. I photographed Messi the other day. Right, Lionel Messi came to town with Inter Miami because I guess he joined the MLS. I applied for a credential. I got a credential. I showed up at 3:30 to get down there early because it was going to be a zoo, and our credentials weren't going to be ready till 5. And I wasn't the only one who showed up at 3:30 from the press pool. There was about 50 of us waiting at the line around 4 o'clock for the passes to come down at 5 to let us in. I don't care about Lionel Messi personally. Soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, doesn't. There's very few things that move the needle for me. I'm there to do a job and photograph this one person. That's what I was going for. My concerns were the reason I get there early is, one, I want to get my pass before other people so that I can go pick my spot. But that's also a coin flip as well. Yeah. You don't know the spot that you pick, whether that's a good spot, a bad spot. You don't know which way the teams are actually going in the first half. Generally, the teams go the same direction, but sometimes I don't know why the Union go the opposite of what they normally do. Huh. So when I went in, I was like the 3rd person to get my credentials. I walked in, I got my vest, I walked over to an area in the corner, and I put down my chair, and I'm like, I'm going to sit here for the first half. And you never know, is this a good angle? Is this not a good angle? Lionel Messi, I guess, is a lefty, so he's on the other side of there, but he also floats around the field.
And with that field, by the way, it's probably best to get the better images the first half of the game, just with the better lighting, because the lighting there is pretty harsh, right?
Game started at around 7:10, so we still had daylight. So
yeah.
I was at 2000 ISO to get 1/4000th of a second at 2.8.
Plenty light.
By the end of the game, I was at 6400 ISO to get like 1/2000 or 1/3200th of a second at 2.8, and the colors are such garbage off those lights. They're not even. They're green. You get such a bad cast.
Higher ISO, worse color. Yeah.
Yep. But in the first half, what I ended up shooting, I had 2 R3s. One had a 70-200 on that was on my Black Rapid hanging on my hip, and the other was a R3 with a 400-2.8 version 2 adapted EF. So I'm still adapting, which you don't even know that you're adapting. That's how good those lenses are. And the new ones are so much better. All the AP guys, they all have the newer, not AP Sony, but the Getty people all have Canon. The person next to me, the AFP, she was shooting with a Nikon Z9 with an adapted 180-400, which was interesting. I tried to get a 100-300, but I didn't get approved till 5 o'clock on Monday, which meant that no one was at Canon to be able to send me a lens. So yeah, I picked my spot. I set up a 360 camera. I set up an Insta360 Go 3 on my head, which is not a 360 camera. And I had a lot of stuff going on, there was a lot I was trying to do.
Well, I think last minute too, you kind of were like, should I vlog this? Should I film this? And we both kind of agreed, like, yeah, you should probably do something with this. It's a pretty big event, photographing Messi. And also, I'm not going to be here. You might be lacking on content the next week or two. So it's something Dan can throw together. Why not? And who knows? You might get nothing out of the game. You might get something out of the game. You might get the best shot ever. I don't know.
Right. So I'm in the spot that I'm in. There's about 100 to 150 other photographers around the field, and Miami scores in like the first minute, right? And it wasn't Messi. It wasn't Messi who scored. And so I'm tracking Messi the whole time. So it's rare that I just focus in on just one player. I'm usually trying to find the action, but here I just sat on him the whole time looking for something. The first 10, 15 minutes of the half, he didn't really touch the ball, and it just looked boring and as could be. But then, of course, anything can happen.
And the beautiful thing is you're shooting for yourself. You're not shooting for an agency or anything, or for actual coverage, really. So you could just literally sit on him the entire game and get nothing, and it's not a big deal.
Right. And so then he grabs the ball and he's dribbling up the field. He's going up the field. I'm tracking him 400-2.8. Perfect. He unloads. He winds up and he kicks from so far outside. I call it the 18 because we call it the 18 in the United States. That's the outside of the penalty box. That's what we all have always got. There's the 6 and the 18. The 6 is where they kick off from if the ball goes out, and the 18 is I guess they call it the penalty box, but people are getting on me. It's not called that. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's like saying Nikon and Nikon. Shut up. That's what we call it here. We call it soccer. You call it football.
By the way,
don't care.
I saw somebody, I think, text in or comment. I forget where it was. And they were like, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You're mispronouncing Nikon. It should be Nikon, not Nikon. And I'm like, okay, well, literally Nikon USA, when we have calls with them and briefings, they call it Nikon. I believe they're right over you.
As
Every region is different.
Ashton Kutcher in the commercials said Nikon.
It's like Nikon USA says Z8. Nikon everywhere else says Z8. It's just regional.
Yeah. So anyway, he winds up and he kicks, and I'm following him. I'm on him, and then I hear the crowd go nuts, all the other fans, because he scored from so far out. Then he breaks into that flying, airplane-y thing.
Flying V?
And then he does a huzzah jump, and my photo, I flipped to vertical. I have video of all this too, so we'll be able to put that in the vlog, where I go vertical just as he's about to jump. He jumps out of my frame, and I only have half of his body until he lands, and I've got the fist pump. And this is where my friend Brad, who's a sports shooter who used to shoot for Sports Illustrated when they existed, he's like, well, you're not good enough to do the 2 camera thing. He wasn't saying that I'm not good enough. He was saying that I just don't have enough practice.
Suck.
Right, basically, is what he was saying. He's like, so yeah, he's like, you would get those horizontal shots and then quickly be able to switch to the other camera. I'm like, yeah, I've never shot that way, so I don't have training to do that. That's how the news people do it, because they can quickly switch to the other camera with one hand and get it. It would have been perfect with the 100-300 to get that jump, but I wouldn't have gotten the flying stuff as tight as I ended up doing. So the jump ended up not being great, because I saw some photos, the woman next to me with the 180-400, she got the jump, but he's not making like a great look until he lands. I'm going to show you something that just got...
So his peak action, like him holding his hand up, is not midair, you're saying. When he lands is when his hand goes up, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it should be you were probably hoping for the opposite, but...
Well, you're hoping for up in the air.
Up in the air,
but, Steven, someone just sent me this. I'm showing it to Steven. Look at this. Do you see what's at the top of the frame?
Yeah.
That's me at the top of the frame. So that's someone who shot it from behind and up high. Messi going into the fist jump, which actually looks pretty good because he's jumping. That's me shooting photos behind it.
That's funny.
So I'm gonna I think that's German. I think it's from a German. It says Der Messi Efken buy into Miami. And it's me.
Was that the Canon R1 camera you were shooting with, right?
Steven,
crap.
That I was in the R1.
I told you can't take that out in public events.
Stop it.
They're going to photograph you.
So I missed that shot, but I still got the flying shot. I got the kicking shot. I was in the perfect spot. I could have gone home after that because nothing was going to be better than that. The light was the best it was going to be all night.
Sure.
Well, at that point, because it just kept getting worse and worse. And he scored right in front of us and ran right in front of us and did a huzzah jump right in front of us.
I will say, too, with the two camera thing and switching quickly, I mean, even when we would shoot concerts, like I tried the two camera thing and I was a pretty seasoned vet when it came to shooting concerts. This is probably over 10 years in and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do the muscle memory. I couldn't train myself. The stuff happens so damn quick.
Yep.
It's so hard. By the time you switch, you completely miss the shot. So it's like you have the option of trying to get something with what you have or just completely missing it if you switch. Or, you could actually get the shot if you do switch, but it's such a gamble.
Yeah. And when I post these images, the other thing that I absolutely love is when people play Monday morning quarterback.
Well, I would have done this, Jared, if I was there.
I would have cropped in tighter. Why? I know you don't like to crop, but I would have cropped in tighter to his fingers. You left a little too much space on the side. I'm like, I get that sports shooters for newspapers crop everything just tight because they just want to see Messi. But if you lose out on all of the stuff behind him, right? Like if you lose out on all of the thing that makes an image, I don't want to crop it tight to his finger. I don't want to rechange it after the fact.
Yeah, I get your point of view, but I do get if people are saying like, well, I would have cropped it that way because that is something anyone can do after the fact. But it more annoys me when people are like, well, if I was there, I would have shot it this way. It's like, you have no idea how crazy instantaneous this moment was. I mean, you showed me the little video clip after of you shooting and I'm like, oh my God, that's literally, he jumped so quick and it's over. You have no time to react. I did react, right? You did,
so
but
it's just
it still wasn't fast enough is what I'm saying.
Well, no, I didn't react with if I had the right lens, a different lens on, it would have been fine.
Yeah, but you didn't even like follow his jump is what I'm saying.
Oh, I was a little late on it. I didn't expect him to jump.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to jump.
Yep.
But I still got, I think the fist pump is good. Is there a lot of headroom in the fist pump one? Absolutely. There's a lot of headroom. That's just what ended up happening. And that would be a good cover for a FIFA 2024. But
Messi right at the top. Boom, cover, done.
There's more headroom than I would want. But yeah, people playing Monday morning quarterback and telling me how they would have done it. Well, one, you didn't do it. We know that. You weren't in there. You didn't pick the spot. I so happened to pick the right spot for that day. It just, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
It's all a gamble.
I picked the right spot, right? And I was on it. I had the 400-2.8. I got the kick. I got the run, and I missed the initial jump the way that, actually I got it perfect, but just with him cut off.
And you were trying to prep for it as much as you could. You were trying to get the 100 to 300, which would have been the ideal lens for that moment, and you probably would have got the shot, but it just wasn't here in time. So, yeah.
It would have been at 300 for him shooting and running, which would have been a little short for that kick, but it would have been good for the flying. And then you saw how quickly I went vertical. I would have gone vertical and pulled back and gone and nailed it.
See, I wonder if most photographers aren't going vertical because they know they're just going to crop and post, and they rather just get the entire frame, of him doing whatever.
Well, the thing is, the reason I went vertical is I knew that it would be too tight. I knew that he would. What's the point of a picture of someone jumping if you can't see the whole ground? Then they might just be standing there.
Wouldn't it be more loose if it was horizontal versus vertical?
No, I would have less room. I literally filled the frame from head to toe with the first two pictures of him jumping. If it was horizontal, it's going to be half his body.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so you don't have that full jump. I mean, if I had a 70-200 on, which I had on the other camera, it probably would have been better, a little wide, but it's fascinating seeing the other people's images. I saw a couple of people that did get the jump wider, and I didn't like Messi's face in it because he wasn't doing any jubilant celebration in the air.
Yeah.
Now and that's not just to defend the fact that I didn't get it. I mean, that helps, but it just, yeah, I wasn't as upset. I really wasn't that upset. You're going to be able to hear the audio of me talking to the other photographers about cut him off, right? But this is the stuff I share because you want people to see what it's like and learn from it. I still got good stuff.
I just think, again, people don't realize how quick this stuff happens and how quickly you have to react.
But
if you don't have the right gear, you're screwed.
It's pretty cool to see that person just send me that photo of Messi jumping, and there's me in the background.
With the R1.
We got all the angles, Steven. We got the 360 camera where you see him jump over my head. We've got the visor camera I put on where thankfully, when I went vertical, you could actually see the jump. He was right there. So maybe next time I put it in the hot shoe or do something so that the hot shoe would have actually missed it. The lens would have been in the way. I think the hot shoe would have
missed it. Yeah, I think you just have to flip it up a little bit in your visor, and then you should be good.
Right. Or I did actually see if it would fit on the lens hood at the end. It would clip onto that. So that would stay horizontal, and then it would go vertical if I did that.
The only thing is, it just looks like it's a first person point of view and not it doesn't look like you're shooting.
No, I wish I had the EVF coverage. But anyway, got to photograph Messi. I left around the 73rd minute in the second half because it runs for 90 minutes, and then it would have been a shit show trying to get out of Chester to get home. And I got home before people would have ever left the parking lot.
And you don't want to be in Chester that late at night.
Well, really, it's not a problem. They have a lot of cops, but you're in the car and you're not going to go through Chester. One of the guys who came in.
Terrible area, though. Where that
terrible area. A guy who came in from New York, he's like, if I need to get a hotel, he's like, I looked around this area, there were no hotels. I'm like, you don't stay in Chester. I'm like, you don't stay in Chester.
He's like, there's an Airbnb down the street.
Go to the airport, stay at the airport area. Do not go to Chester. You don't go through Chester. Dude, one of our readers who came in from a foreign country went to the soccer game, and I told him not to take public transit. If you go, take an Uber.
Yeah.
He took public transit. He took SEPTA. So he gets dropped off in Chester somewhere and walks a mile to the stadium through Chester. He's like, it was kind of a sketchy area. I'm like, you're a foreigner in this. I told you not to do that.
Yeah.
All right. We got to get wrapped up, Steven.
Let's do it.
So if this is the last hurrah for you, I'm sorry. We'll miss
this might
you.
be the last podcast where I am not a dad. So we'll see.
We'll miss you, and I'll do a better job without you here. And if the audio is different, I don't worry about it. I think you guys will enjoy it. I just have to remember to put the thing on there. And I want to hear who you want me to interview if I can get them on the line.
At the end of the day, it'll be good enough.
Our podcast still sounds a billion times better than everybody else's because I hate those shitty sounding podcasts that exist. So, episode 64?
64.
Yeah, episode 64
in the books.
As we keep going. So thank you guys very much for listening. Anything you want to add before you go, Steven?
No, just check out FroPack 4. I will be back hopefully within 2 weeks. We'll see how everything goes. Or it might be 3 weeks. We'll see. We'll play it by ear, but my goal is to be back in 2 weeks.
Are you gonna post a baby name photo or something?
I will probably post something at some point. I'm not sure how soon that will be, but yeah, I'll post something at some point. We'll figure it out.
Shaquanda.
Stop.
It's not Shaquanda?
Don't give away the name.
I want to do a live critique of the name. Are you going to do middle name? I won't do it, but are you going to do a middle name too? Are you guys doing a middle name?
Yeah, we've got a middle name picked out too. I don't think we'll call her by her full, first and middle name.
Is it Bella?
Stop.
It's not
Shaquanda Bella. That's it.
Shaquanda Bella Feinberg. Can you imagine being Shaquanda Feinberg Bella? All right. Bye, Steven. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. Jared, PolinFronosPhoto.com. See ya. Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. See ya.